Brilliance Audio presents Mythic Worlds, Modern Words, Joseph Campbell on the Art of James Joyce, by Joseph Campbell, edited and forwarded by Edmund L. Epstein, performed by Braden Wright. I recently read some articles by Dr. John Weir Perry on the phenomenology of schizophrenia, and I was simply stunned to find that the imagery he observed was exactly that which I had written about in The Hero with 1,000 Faces. By speaking of mythological images as affect images, images that immediately evoke in the observer equivalent sentiments and emotional impulses, Perry made what to me was an important statement, for my own definition of an effective mythological symbol has been an energy-releasing and directing sign. As I understand it, Perry has observed that affect images become dissociated in the schizophrenic state. A separation takes place between affect and image, that is to say, one's emotional life is not supplied with images through which it can communicate, not only to others, but to one's own consciousness as well. And in our tradition, of course, mythological images have lost their relationships to affects and are interpreted in terms of rational devaluations, or, as in the Hebrew and Christian traditions, in terms of historical events which may or may not have taken place, and in either case are of little importance to a person's psyche today. One of the things I hope to do in these talks is make some connection between what I have learned from Perry about the imagery of schizophrenia and the imagery in Joyce's visionary writing. Looking at the work of James Joyce in the light of Perry's observations, I realized that ever since I first encountered Ulysses and the Portrait in Paris in 1927, Joyce has been a kind of guide for my own interpretation of mythological material. The big thing Joyce did for me, and might also do for others, is bring the vast heritage of mythological images that we have from many, many sources and strains of thought into relationship with my own affect system. The work of Joyce is a bringing together of the personal experience of affect with the general heritage of affect images. I think this is the impact. What I am going to try to do here is point out how it seems to me Joyce built these images. It's my feeling that our imagery has been deprived of its affect by our strongly rational tendency in the interpretation of images and by our religious traditions concretizing symbols so that they refer not past themselves to symbolic themes, but to historical events. When, for example, we interpret the resurrection of Christ as having been an historical event instead of seeing the resurrection as a psychologically crucial moment of crisis, this deprives the imagery of its affect. And when you have a priesthood that is simply repeating what has been taught in theological seminaries and not, as in the world of art, rendering individual personal experiences, then you have a group of teachers who are not teaching us, so to say, how to relate our experiences to the imagery.